Okay, here we are, day 6 of the film festival, and this was our first short film showcase of the day. We had a real variety of films here today. Can we just, got some of the filmmakers up to talk about their films. If we start at this end, just go one by one and just introduce yourselves and what your film was that we just seen here.
Hi, my name is Katie. I am the filmmaker from Bilderflut and Product Pictures, which was a student project from University of Blunden, and it was really much my very first film I ever made. So,
round of applause, please.
I'm Daniel Moses. I'm a pandemic spy, which is about the spies in the pandemic.
Hello, my name is David Streams, and I'm the director of In Two Minds. I'm an actor, director, and a bit of a producer, but I'll pass you over to Darren.
My name is Darren Kent. I was the actor in Two Minds, and I helped script edit it ever so slightly, but I was blessed to be directed by this superstar next to me.
Great, so we have a round of applause for all. Awesome, thank you. So, just first question, how did you first become involved in the project, whether it was yours or you're the writer? Just tell us about that briefly.
It was really much, I wanted to do a project where I was like, having like something I can speak about from my own perspective, because Bilderflut is really much how I see London and what people tell me about London. So what I tried to do was to tell people the point of view I have when I walk through the city, what I think and how I see the city. So this is really much what I tried to do, and so I tried to write that down. Yeah. So.
At the beginning of last year, 2021, if anyone remembers that horrific time, the government gave another regulation, which was to stay off of the park benches because you might catch COVID. I think it went out for about a week. I don't know about the scientific veracity of this. And then I saw a few benches that were covered up. My immediate reaction was to think, well, how is this going to affect spies doing their job?
That your very
that was the first and therefore most important concern, was how it was going to affect spies doing their job. Because they've got a job to do, they're probably not on furlough. And that was really it. That was just the whole idea, and it went through a lot of different changes.
Okay, so In Two Minds, it's got quite a long story really. Originally I directed the stage production of it. It was an hour and a half, nearly hour and 45-minute play. It was a one-man show, so there was just the one actor in it. But it was written by a very dear friend of mine called Don Hill, and he was probably about 86 when he passed away about 10 years ago. And just before he passed away, I said, one day I'm going to make this into a film. Never thought I ever would, and luckily I met Darren at a film festival actually, and we got chatting, and I said, I've got a film I've always wanted to make. So I asked him to have a look at the stage version, and Darren said, we could adapt this, yeah, definitely. So very cleverly, he reduced the nearly 2-hour play down to what you saw today, which is about, 15 minutes, but kept the essence of the play, which was amazing. Plus, I'd always had this ambition to direct a film. So I'm an actor, so I've directed a lot of stage stuff, but never really directed a film. And I was amazed at how many people got involved. We had about 26 in the crew, and originally Darren was going to direct it, and he said, well, why don't you direct it? So I thought, oh, that's a good idea. So why don't you be in it? So Darren played the lead, and I directed Darren. He's hard work, I must admit, he's very hard work, but he's an absolute joy to work with. And since then we've collaborated on quite a few jobs. Plus we've got Charles Sharman Cox in the audience, who again is somebody I've known since I was very young, and always wanted to do some filming with him because he's a film director. But he edited this film, and I thought brilliantly. And just as a little bit of interest, how clever Charles is the fact that the scene in the middle where he shoots his mum and sister, was meant to be originally in my head was a little cacophony of images. So I didn't really think that much about continuity and stuff like that, because it was literally just going to be her going, and then you'd suddenly hear the bang, and that would be the end of that moment. But Charles saw something else in it and edited it as a scene. We had to dub some of it because of the continuity problems, and there was a bit of swearing, which was too much. And so, yeah, we suddenly had a scene which I hadn't envisaged at all until Charles looked at it. So, but for me as an actor, wanting to be a director, I'm really, really, I can't believe I've actually directed my first movie. So there you go.
Congratulations.
I'll be honest, I was originally planning on directing David, but after we saw the script, I just wanted to play a character like this. It's not every day you get to play a sort of serial killer, that sort of crazy sort of role. So luckily for me, David was kind of going to sort of reverse roles.
Yeah.
And it was a pleasure to be directed by David, and as David touched on earlier, when he did the stage play, he actually won an award for directing that, quite rightly so. You're an amazing director. But it was an amazing few days on set. It was great to have obviously Elliot Jordan from EastEnders and Sandy Bowen from Golden Box join the cast. So it was just an amazing experience. It seems so long ago now that we did it, but the fact that we did it for Don as well, in his memory, it was a beautiful film to be a part of, and I felt very, very lucky and privileged to be directed by David.
Yeah, it was made before the COVID, long before the COVID.
Yeah. When we were young.
When we were young.
When we were all much younger, I think. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to ask a general question, and we will ask one by one. I was going to ask about, obviously we're here at a film festival. What do you think is important about film festivals in, you know, having somewhere to see your film, somewhere like this, and, you know, meet people? What is it that you get out of having your film at a film festival? Start at the far end and come back to this?
Okay, I mean, obviously, for anyone who's making a short film in particular, we need festivals like this to showcase our work. It's the only sort of recognition, I guess, we get as filmmakers. And Romford's obviously it's a brilliant festival. And it's nice and local, I guess, for us, being Essex based. But I just think we need platforms like this. And it's nice when you get international films come over as well, just to show how creative the rest of the world is. But I just think to have so many creative people in a room and to collaborate with other creatives that you maybe wouldn't normally have met in the other world, I just think is super important. And it's festivals like this and screening events that allow us the opportunity to network and to gain more people on our books. So I think it's superb, and I love the Romford Film Festival. You guys are awesome.
Yes, well, Dan's basically said it all. Yeah, it's very important to have the festivals to showcase your work. And I know a lot of directors and a lot of producers and writers and actors and technical people use short films as a way of almost like a calling card. So without the festivals to be able to put them up there and let people see them, it's a great networking thing as well. I mean, I would never have done my first short film if I hadn't gone to that film festival and met Darren. And we were saying in the car on the way up here today, you know, each thing has led to the other. And I've worked on quite a lot of short films now, and I've also, you know, got almost like a second career as an actor in films. And again, that all came from that one film festival where I'd networked, met people, use David for this, and David might be interested in that. So for me, it's been incredible. So carry on. It's great to see it on a proper screen as well. A lot of festivals, they're on, you know, a little back room somewhere, but to see it in a proper cinema is great.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think this is the second time that we've been able to see it on a screen that isn't a computer screen, and it makes such a difference because you just have to see films on a big screen. I don't think it's any more complicated than that. I'm in favour of watching films wherever you want, but the difference in seeing, like, for instance, just all the every element, I was going to say just the post-production, but every single element coming together. My crew, I'm very grateful, did such a fantastic job. And to come to these things, and we're only just starting to open up after the last 2 years. And it is a wonderful thing to come and see and watch other people's films, and see what other people have been making, and to come and network. And I don't think it's any more complicated than you go to see a film on a massive screen, and to see what.
Absolutely.
I think it's great.
Yeah, for me it is really much that you suddenly, of course, can see the directors, you can speak with producers, you can speak with actors, which is really exciting because I know when I started where I wanted to start making films, I was like, I saw this big Hollywood blockbusters and everything is super exciting, but you're never really close to the people. And what I feel when I think about film festivals, especially smaller ones or local ones, it is very interesting to see how creative a community is. And so we see so much more variety than if I would go just, I don't know, watching the next James Bond, for instance. I would probably see something amazing special effects and everything. But I think, especially on film festivals, you can actually be more creative. And even have a place to show your work, which is, in my eyes, amazing.
Yeah.
All great answers. Okay, so starting this end, what was your biggest challenge on your film?
It was very difficult for me because I had like this big camera from university. I had no idea how to use it, and I had just to shoot something first, and we tried just to get along with cameras and everything. And realizing that I would need so many different lenses and everything, and I actually needed someone who helped me just carrying all the equipment through London, and so this is why Niels is here today, because he was really much my donkey, and I appreciate that because I wouldn't be able to do that on my own. But I mean, I was in the end holding the camera, and I was planning everything. But I think filmmaking is such a collaborative thing, and so that was a challenge for me, just to figure out how to work with the medium and to do something with it.
I think two main, but I think we had 2 shoot days. They actually went pretty smoothly, despite me having like an anxiety attack every day of the week leading up to it, because I was producing it as well. Everyone was brilliant. I think there were 2 main things. One was pre-production, which we basically had to do on Zoom. And not actually having done anything, I was sort of partially shielding because I've got asthma. So hadn't done any work or anything for the better part of a year. Everyone else had been sort of carrying on regardless, and they've been using Zoom every day. And then I had to rehearse on Zoom, do all the pre-production for Zoom. It wasn't a big crew either. That was bloody exhausting. Like, and everyone was doing that every day for like a year. That's amazing. I think that was probably the most challenging thing, because I think everyone was amazing on the shoot. I think the second thing was finding an appropriate bench. You have no idea how hard it was to try and get a bench that looked like a park bench that didn't cost some stupid amount of money. That was incredibly hard to find. So I'm quite grateful to my friend's dad who kindly loaned the bench.
That's a lot of bench talk actually, because for the Magician, which was played earlier on in the festival, they had to buy their own bench.
Yeah,
and,
I was this close away from buying a bench, which didn't look it's very, very important that you get the right bench. It's I'll be going to it.
What was your biggest challenge?
I think the biggest challenge for me was to accept the fact that I was a director now. Not because just because I thought I've never done this before, so I didn't really know what I'm doing. But I was very lucky because I had it's actually Darren's brother was our camera and DOP, and he was absolutely brilliant. And I went up to have a meeting with him in Manchester, had lots of images in my head of how I wanted the opening to be and various other bits, and he just went, yeah, and he created that like, incredibly. He was like, you could see into my mind. So the challenge that I thought I had wasn't there, because we had such a great crew and sound and everybody else. And again, the acting, I knew Darren would be brilliant. So surprisingly enough, we had 3-day shoots. I said we had 26 in the crew, and it went really smoothly. And every step of the way, I was learning something new. and I realised I absolutely love it. I love directing films, so I'm hoping to do another one. But yeah, I think the biggest challenge was probably the catering, working out what everyone wanted to eat.
Always a challenge.
Yeah.
Now, I should say, getting in the mind of a serial killer was my biggest challenge. If you've met my family, you'll know that I could probably kill a few of them. They did my nuts, and that's why we only see them at Christmas. But I would say the biggest challenge was probably the building we used was part of the South United football stadium. It was like a derelict building, it used to be an Indian restaurant. And we got permission to film in there. But on the first morning we turned up with all our gear, and there was a homeless guy living in the actual building, and I felt awful waking him up at 6 in the morning to just ask him if he could politely leave and come back 14 hours later. And he was such a young lad as well, wasn't he?
Yeah.
He was only in his 20s, bless him. It was freezing, it was December, there was asbestos in there, we had to shift. So I think the location itself, with it being so dusty and
Yeah, there was no power either, was there?
No power as well,
So
so we had to
quite
run
hard,
it through the South End football shop. So once we got over the sort of logistics in the first couple of hours, it ran relatively smoothly, as David said, but it was just getting the ball rolling like most films. The first day is always a little bit slower than others.
Yeah.
But yeah, killing people, easy.
You should not say that on camera. Was there any burning questions in the audience at this point?
So you excluding the role you've just been in, and you've had quite a fairly active acting career the last few years. I first became aware of you when you turned up round Daenerys Targaryen's house looking for help.
Yeah.
What's been your favourite role to date?
Oh, favourite role. I guess the one that changed my career would be Sunny Boy, Jane Gold's Sunny Boy, about a boy who's allergic to the sun. That won awards in like over 78 countries. That done very, very well. And I guess that led to probably Game of Thrones. Obviously, that's the biggest show in the world, so I guess I should say that Game of Thrones is the role that sort of has mapped and directed my career in the last sort of 5 to 10 years. But my favourite role would probably be Blood Drive. I was a series lead shooting in South Africa for 6 months, playing this sort of psychotic navigator that's in a race. I learned how to stunt drive. But just to be filming in a country that's so chilled, around people that are so happy, yet they've got nothing. And it really puts life into perspective and makes you feel very lucky and privileged to not only be from England, but to be alive and just have the little luxuries in life that a lot of us take for granted. So I guess Blood Drive certainly was a step up the ladder in terms of the size of the character and role, but I'll always be grateful for that opportunity. So I would say that. I mean, I love EastEnders though. I've just got EastEnders, and I'm a big fan of EastEnders, so if that's a bit of a downgrading thing to say, but I am a bit partial to a bit of Danny Dyer, so yeah, I did enjoy my time at EastEnders, but yeah, Blood Drive, I would say, is the main one.
Hi, this is a question for David and Darren, is it?
Yep.
You're both actors and you're directing as well. What do you find the most rewarding creatively out of the two disciplines? And also, David, do you have any plans to direct in the future? So which of acting and directing, for both of you, would you prefer?
So I've directed quite a lot of theatre, and I've directed theatre when I've been playing the lead in the play as well. I did a version of Someone Who Watched Over Me recently with Lee Mead and another actor called Richard Foster. I directed that, so that was a challenge, but I did have somebody that was my eyes when I couldn't obviously see what was going on. So they were like an assistant director, I suppose. But I get as much enjoyment out of directing as I do acting, and I love acting. It's my passion, and it's always been my passion. And I can't really differentiate between the two, because the skill that you have as an actor definitely enhances the skill you have as a director, and vice versa. You know, when you direct and you see how an actor performs and how they create the role, you sort of know how the mechanics work, because you do it yourself, you know. So the two things both go together as far as I'm concerned. I think some of the best directors are actors, and some of the best actors have been directors. So yeah, both.
I think I was just about to almost mirror that. I think some of the best directors do come from an acting background. I think if you're a director but you've got your acting experience, you're always looking for performance. But then with your director hat on, you're looking for what technically looks right, and obviously what you're going to be able to cut to when you're in the edit. For me, I'm a drama queen. I love to act. I love to be in front of the camera. I like to be the star. But nothing makes me happier than just being on a film set, working with creatives, getting to do the job I love. And directing is a very close second. I mean, I'm currently directing a mini-series, and I couldn't help but cheekily put myself in a little cameo character within the series. The writer didn't know it yet, but I kind of wrote myself in. But being director, I guess I can sort of blag it a little bit. But I've directed quite a bit now. I directed a series for the BBC, and I found a love for directing. But the amount of work and prep that a director has to do, which I don't think many directors get. They think they turn up on the day of filming, they just make a great performance out of their actors and go home. It isn't like that. The prep leading up to it, the recce's, the shot list, the planning every single shot with your DOP, and then the actual filming, and then in the edit. If you're lucky to get editors like Charles, who's amazing to work with, but you get some that after a good 10, 15 days, you want to kill them. They're worse than my family, believe it or not. So I just think the process is longer for a director, but the reward when you see your film on the big screen, it's great as a performer, especially if you're on the posters, it's all exciting. But I think as a director, it's more rewarding when your film is up there, because you know a lot more blood and sweat and tears has gone into it than what maybe the actors have brought to the table.
I think just to add to that as well, the difference between being an actor and being a director is the fact that I've been in quite a few productions where the director does something or has a blackout somewhere, and you think, why is he doing that? Why has he picked that music? And why is he? As a director, you can go, I don't want a blackout there. I want that piece of music, and I'd like that to happen there, and I like that creative control. Yeah.
Well, hi there. What was your favourite moment on set? And that's for all of you.
Oh my god. For me, it was really much because my set was London, so I was walking through London mainly, which was, so I think that the best art was like what I liked the most was when I realized how magical the movie camera can be. So if you have a camera with you, and suddenly you get this little glimpse you usually wouldn't realize when you walk through London. And so this is where I put the seagulls in it, because I love this little story they actually tell, and it was just by chance that I got it. So I was very happy that those cute seagulls had like this little fight on the screen, and it just happened. They was just first sitting there, and then it happened. It was just like a very nice moment for me. I really enjoyed that. So.
Obviously, all of it was magical. Every time you go on set. I'm just trying to think. I think when it started to come together a little bit on day one, we were a bit worried about the weather, because basically, if it started raining, we were screwed for the whole shoot. So I think probably halfway through day one, we were doing the scene in the middle, where all the spies are walking around not knowing what the hell was going on or what was going on in their lives. Because I think that was the first scene that I thought of to put visually, and I how many takes did we do that? We did quite a few takes of that. The people in the background were my siblings who I bullied. I mean, I asked nicely to harangue, that's a good word as well, who are also part of the crew as well, thank you to them. And it just sort of, even though we did a few takes just to get the time right, it just sort of worked visually, because it was kind of the first visual that I thought. Because it kind of just, it's a sort of, hopefully, a sort of relatable thing. I think it's that point in the lockdown where we were starting to lose our minds a little bit, where we really didn't know who we were, what we're doing, lost our purpose, and especially if filmmakers as well. I think there was that point where everyone was like, are we ever going to work again? Do we have a career here that's sustainable? And I think that's what the spies are going through as well. And that sort of come together, and not being harassed by people in the park, which is very important. Not many that curious people in the park, which is unusual when you've got 10 people running around with spy outfits. On something like that. We were very lucky. I enjoyed that a lot.
Okay, my most magical moment, apart from all the moments where Darren created those little nuances and things that I love, was the bit where he shoots himself. He goes, "I'm sorry," and he goes, and you see the of blood on the policeman's face. The makeup girl, she was...
Was your favourite moment?
No, the favourite moment was the makeup girl was trying to create that moment, so she was practising with she had a little pot of blood and she was using paintbrushes and going, no, that's it, no, it doesn't look right, 'cause it sort of went like that and then went like that, and then she tried something else, just doing that, and I said, no, it doesn't look right. And for some reason I looked down and there was I don't know who had been using it, it was a bit disgusting really, but I saw a McDonald's carton with a straw in it, and I thought, oh. So I took the straw out and I gave it a little bit of a clean. And a friend of Darren's who was helping us out, he volunteered to be the dummy. So I sucked up a little bit of blood and went, I was like, yes! So we tried about 3, he was covered in blood by the end of it because she was practicing with brushes on him as well. But yeah, it was that moment of like, yes, it looks, because I didn't want loads of blood and gore, we just wanted that one moment of blood, and that was it. And the straw, so if you ever need to have gun splattered blood, straw, bit of blood, like that, perfect. That was a magic moment.
The magic moment for me, I mean there's so many, working with Sandy, Elliot and obviously David directing was a massive bonus on this film. But I would say, I mean, yeah, the scene at the end where I shoot myself, there was some really lovely stuff coming out of Elliot.
Yeah,
and all that stuff with the sausages and the beans, and all them little moments, like the little comedic moments, I think are what makes my character a little bit more psychotic, relatable but in a weird way, and that particular section of the script was my most favourite to deliver as an actor. I'm waving a gun around with a guy in cold beans, and obviously I'm in control of the scene, and that for me was my magic moment.
Great stuff. Going to wrap now, I think. Like to say thank you all again for submitting your film and for joining us. And we have a last round of applause, please.